Hi, we're back for another example of adding additional records to Elmina Porter and her husband Joseph Howie. So I'm going to share my screen here and go directly to her page. So here we are on Elmina Porter's page. And so when I want to find additional records, I'm looking at the sources here, and I would like to find her in the 1900 census. I saw that she died in 1914, so I'm hoping to find her in the 1914 census. So I click on Family Search, and the search results, I look and I can see several records coming up, but to get there quickly, I want to go to the Collections tab. Notice we're on the General Records tab, and if I click on Collections, I can scroll down and see Show All 12, and I can see all the list of the census. Here's the 1900 census, so I want to filter just for that. That gives me a way to target what I want to find. Go up to the top and say Filter Results. Now as I look at my results, I see Sarah E. Porter. She's a mother-in-law, and that another Porter, that's not going to give me the results I want. One of the clues and one of the things I did wrong was I need to look for her with her married name. So I'm hoping this reinforces to you that with married women, you need to look for records for them after they're married with their married name. So I'm going to type in Howie, and then I'm going to update my search and search again. It's still narrowing it down to the 1900 census. Well, now I only see Sarah Howie. That isn't with a spouse of Samuel. That is not what I'm looking for. But I am sure that they had to be in the 1900 census. So I want to change up my filters a little bit more over here and see if I can find her. The first thing I'm going to do is to widen my search and say, okay, I'm going to broaden the dates when she might have been recorded as being born. It can be very easy to get the wrong dates since I only had one search result. And then another thing I'm going to do, it looks like the death is reasonably, she wouldn't have been dead in 1900, so that wouldn't really matter. The marriage year, I could broaden that a little bit and say 55 to 65. Sometimes numbers are transposed when they're writing them down. And then another thing I can do is say, I'm going to use a wildcard. This is a great example to show you. A wildcard is that little symbol right above the number 8. It looks kind of like a star. So I'm going to use that instead of the H, and then an OW, and then put another wildcard right afterwards. Now a wildcard can stand in the place of one or two or many letters. And so I know that's the middle of Howie. I'm going to see what happens now. So I'm going to update my search and see what happens. Okay, so now she comes up right here on the first point, the first results. Elmina Stowey, Howie and Stowey. But I can tell that that's her, and look, her birthday was just slightly off. I had her being born in 39, and this is 1836. They still live in Morningstar, South Carolina. That's the correct place. I've looked on a map and know that's where that location is for her. And then I can see relationships. Here is Joseph W. Stowey, which is her Joseph W. Howie. So I can open that record up just a little bit and look more specifically at that. So usually there's an edit right here where I can change her name and alter that. It is giving me a location edit and a date edit, but that is not really helpful for me at this point. I want to alter her name. So I'll add that in the reason when I attach it. But she's 64, she's married, she had 3 living children right now. She was married for 40 years. And so that gives me a lot more information about her. And Joseph and Elmina are living with or next door to another couple. So I still want to look at the original image. I want to get more information to make sure that I'm making the correct choice here. And so as that loads, you can tell there's an indexed version right down here below. I'm going to need to make that a lot bigger to see it. I can just put my left click mouse down and drag this around. And so I'm looking here on the left for Stowe, since I know that's how they looked at it, or something similar to look like that. And as I continue to look down the page, I can see right here at the bottom that they indexed as Stowe. You can see like Stowey, but it also could look like an H, a capital Howey, Eyeie. So I can see that they actually indexed it incorrectly. You can see Joseph W. and Elmina, they are borders with this couple right above them. And I can see the birthday was August and December, that was their month. And they're both listed as 63. I believe their ages were different, but sometimes when people are older, they just forget how old they are. So they are married for 40 years, and she actually had 8 children, but only 3 of them are living. So I noticed before I have 4 children listed for her, so I'm still missing some children. And that also tells me that one of the children maybe that I do have listed on her page has passed away. So those are some really relevant facts that I want to capture in this. So have an opportunity then to attach that to the tree. So I'm going to review and attach that record. So right here, I'm going to add this fact. Always add your center facts right down here. And the reason I'm going to say is this shows the Howey family in 1900. Note that the indexer misspelled the last name to be Stowe. If you look at the image, you can see the error. This allows me to make a note right there. Anyone who's coming after me will be able to see that actually it is correct. So I'm going to, I think I'll also make a note here that they had 8 children, 3 of whom are living in 1900. So that gives me a few additional facts. It also is a reminder to me to start to look for additional children. I'm certainly missing some. Notice I'm going to have to do the same thing where I drag and drop Joseph up here because they were borders and it did not show a relationship. And so I'm going to click compare here and add. We did have him being born in 1836. I believe she was probably younger in 39. I could have additionally made a note about that, but I'm going to go ahead and attach. So now I'm going to return to Family Tree and look back at her sources right here and notice that they will go chronological. So here is the 1900 census. Make a note here that it says it has unfinished attachments. I know that those are, they were borders and those are not family members. So I can simply dismiss this, that note right there, and know that I've attached all the family members to that. So that ends our next example, our second example of adding additional records. So we will come back for another example.